It's day 3 here in Davos, and it's a sunny, beautiful day, so we've taken to the streets again. And I'm joined by 2 global shapers who are going to share their perspectives on what's happening inside the big rooms here in the coming days. So first, Simon, you are really epitomizing what we call at Accenture as global. Because while the world is global, very little happens on a global scale. It's really about connecting what's happening on the ground to what's happening around the world. So can you talk about your experiences and how you're actually doing that here?
Absolutely. So I think, it might be really good to give you a fresh memory, which just happened actually yesterday. So, I mean, here we have the opportunity to meet absolute world leaders and also from big companies, which you would otherwise never meet. So I'm a battery scientist, and I'm in the University of Cambridge, and I'm also a global shaper at the Cambridge Hub. And so one thing I really care about is how to make batteries better, how to make them last longer, recharge quicker, all of these things. But there's a much bigger perspective to this, because it's where the resources coming from and also where they're going. What about recycling? And now having the chance here to be, with big miners, like, big companies, have like NGOs in the room, have ministers of energy and all these kind of people. Yeah. And they know about these problems. And we have
the real thought leaders and actors in this.
Exactly. Yeah. So people have, they get these topics on the table and they're like, have this open, frank discussion about these issues. So we have this opportunity to talk to them and like really think about what could be done. But then it's this big question what actually happens on the ground, as you mentioned, because especially as the global shapers, we really believe on being on the ground, really get things happen. So what I did is yesterday, I was like thinking, can somebody give me another perspective? So I look on our Global Shapers network, and we actually got a hub in the Democratic Republic of Congo. And I wrote them yesterday, and I reached out to them. We had a conversation this morning on the phone, and they loved it. So like I gave them my perspective, what I just had learned, and they gave me their perspective. So today we have another meeting actually on a similar topic. So I'm really excited to take their vision and their voices into the room with me and to get this global, local dialogue.
It's amazing when you can actually lend your voice to the voice of others in a stage like this. And I'm sure the global shapers in the Republic of the Congo really appreciate you doing that. So well done. And the future workforce conversation here this week is big. In fact, it's one of the biggest trending items on social media right now. And I think the work that you're doing in Nigeria in your local hub is really relevant to that. So Anita, why don't you go ahead and share that?
Sure, Ellen. So we are working as the Abuja Global Shapers to ensure that the youth are prepared for the 4th Industrial Revolution. So we're doing this by a program called the Entrepreneurship and Employment Program. So what we do is we take youth and we ensure that they have the right skills to get the right type of employment. So we run training programs, set up mentorship programs, and this is particularly important to us because Africa is still not at the 2nd Industrial Revolution. We have above 600 million people that do not have access to electricity. Wow. So we have to ensure that we reach the 4th Industrial Revolution, and key to this is employability, training people to have the right skills to keep up with AI, human computing intelligence, and artificial intelligence generally.
And people talk about, okay, so this stuff, these conversations are happening in Davos, but the real big question on many people's minds is, okay, the week is interesting, but what happens after? And Simon, you shared with me a story about what happens with the global shapers after Davos. So why don't you share that little peek into the world?
Absolutely. So I think one thing, we're like being here for a few days already, one thing we really embrace is the dialogue. The conversations, the serendipity of bumping into somebody and have this really frank discussion, whatever you do. And I think it's really important sometimes to be taken out of your own little bubble and kind of get this, people you would never talk to otherwise, the other side, they're like, which you don't really know much about. So I think also we have a similar thing also in Global Shapers. I mean, we are spread around the world in hundreds of different hubs, and people really want to get things done on the ground, and we can learn a lot from each other, and especially from each other's perspectives. So one thing I started about 1.5 years ago, something called Random Shaper, where we really got this mission of getting people to talk to each other from across the globe. So we have hundreds of people now every week and every month talking to each other with completely different backgrounds and just have this really frank, open discussions and see what we can learn from each other and how we can help each other. Because I think, the world is a really big place, but also really small place sometimes.
It absolutely is.
And I think communication technology really gave us this to kind of reach out to each other and really, help each other.
Connectivity is one of the best parts of the digital revolution. I believe that. I believe that. So the lightning round question today is, what is your big dream?
This is a really big question. But I think for me, it will be a fully sustainable world. This includes renewable energies, includes electromobility, but also sustainable sourced resources as well as recycling.
And Anita?
So for me is that Africa becomes a global leader, and what this means is they not only grow, but that inclusiveness is also harnessed in Africa.
So if you ever wondered what's really happening on the ground here, I hope that Simon and Anita have not only given you insights to the conversations behind closed doors, but what's going to happen after they go back to their countries to continue the work, the hard work, and the conversations. I hope you'll tune in tomorrow for our 4th day Moments from Davos.